Welcome back to the beginner's guide. We are over here at our beginner aluminum factory that we don't even need anymore, and I was going to tear this down, but then I realized, why do I need to do that? I'm going to be building some drones today, and the fuel that I wanted to use for drones was batteries. So I'm looking at this here. We need some sulfuric acid, we need alumina solution, and we need aluminum casings. And I'm like, okay, well, we already got some aluminum set up over here. So why don't we just modify this setup to make batteries, and then we just make some sulfuric acid, and we can actually set up batteries pretty easily over here. So that's kind of where my thought process is, and we're going to work on that. So in order for us to modify this, I just did some calculations in my head here. We're looking at 40 alumina solution per minute. One of these refineries is producing 120. So I figured let's just take one refinery and send it directly to these bad boys. And then we can send, and basically what that'll do is this will get cut in half. The production of this will get cut in half, which means all of this will get cut in half. We'll delete all of these, and we'll just have some aluminum casings being produced from the aluminum that we are producing, and we'll send it over here because we only need 20 times 3, that's 60. So if we cut this in half, we'll have 120 aluminum ingots. So if we did 120, that'd be 80. We'd be producing enough, so we'd actually have enough aluminum here. And then I also brought in some sulfur, so I now know the amount of sulfur I need, 150, which I put a Mark III miner on that, so I'm grabbing 240. I didn't need that many, but it's fine. So we could set this up right away and just get this all ready to go. I was just kind of looking through this and making sure I was doing this correctly. And then let's see, I'm gonna plop a Mark V lift here, and then we just need to connect everything up, and we can let this start producing. Well, it's not going to produce because we don't have any water. We have to figure out the proper way because making batteries actually has a byproduct of water, so that's kind of annoying. But yeah, this is going to be kind of tough to do a transition of. It's going to be a little weird. So what we do is, and I recommend doing this, is make separate water lines for your different water byproducts. So my aluminum is going to be on its own water line with its own byproducts, and my sulfuric acid is going to be on its own water line with its own byproducts. So let's look at here. So we needed 150 water, and we have a byproduct of 90 water, so we only need 60 water. So we can drop this down to 60, take those out. And then the other one, since we are losing some byproduct of water, we're only going to be producing 60 for the byproduct. We need to make that up by just adding another power shard in here, so that's 300. And we'll take care of this. So we could start producing the sulfuric acid pretty easily. I just need to bring the pipes over. So let's try that now. There we go. And then we connect all the pipes up. And there we go, we're all connected. So that's pretty simple. Now we also need a byproduct collection area. And that's going to be all of these. So let's get those combined. We're definitely going to want conveyor belts up here with a merger. And we want to figure out where we're going to place our drone port. So let's do that. So we need a drone port. These things are fairly large. But actually over here might not be so bad. That's too big. Maybe right here would be better. Yeah, I think so. Alright, let's do it right there. And we're gonna need a fuel spot and an outgoing spot. So that's where our fuel is. And our outgoing is right here. And the best way to handle this is to have a little bit of storage. And then we can connect all of these up together. Let's do that, and then we'll do a splitter. And let's connect all of this up. So this is gonna be where all of our batteries go. I was worried about that a little bit. Let's make sure we're not hitting that. There we go. And then we also need to connect up to here so that we can actually send batteries to other drone ports. And that's what we're gonna do. So then the pipes, can't forget about the pipes, need to come out and join up together. Please tell me that went on the right way. It didn't. Alright, let's try that again. Let's just combine these together. And then for our sanity, we will go underneath and hopefully do this the right way. I think that's right. And then we also need this to come down. And I think that's all right there. So we connect those up. Now we just need a pump to ensure that it doesn't go backwards. We'll put it here probably. Delete these because it's a better practice. And then we can put this foundation back. We no longer need to do that. So that'll be our byproduct water. That'll take care of it. We're also gonna set up a pump here. Or we could actually do a valve. So if we set up a valve here, we ensure that no water flows backwards. We will leave this completely open, 300 per minute. And that shouldn't affect anything. So, no water can flow backwards. All this water is getting pushed forward. And that means, well, this has already started producing, but that's fine. So now we need to combine all these together. There is no byproduct of anything here, so that actually works out well. We can just combine this up nicely. Get ourselves a clean pipeline. Those are my favorite. They're nice and clean. We do have 2 liquids coming in here, so that's kind of annoying. There's an easy way to handle these, and that is I put a foundation up here. In fact, I think I'll put it here so I can line these up better. And then on one layer, I put a pipeline junction on this one. And I'll actually do one here as well. And those should all be lined up now. And then we'll grab those pipelines. We'll switch it over to horizontal to vertical. And that's how that looks. And then we'll switch this back up to straight. Connect all those up. We'll do horizontal to vertical here. We shouldn't need a pump. And then we'll connect those up. There we go. So, sulfuric acid is yellow. Might as well make it yellow. There we go. And then we'll set up for the alumina solution as well. We could just have these lined up underneath. That's probably for the best. And connect all these together. I'm trying to make it as neat as I can. Alrighty, so that is ready to accept alumina solution whenever we're ready for that. And then we just need to set up our aluminum casings. So we'll set this up and we'll go too high. 1, 2. And 1, 2. There we go. And we'll split it this direction. And that is our setup. Seems pretty simple, right? Kind of. It's a little complicated, but it's not bad. We will need to power our drone port. So that'll be good. Now, the annoying part is going to be cutting that in half. And then figuring out how to cut all this in half. Alright, so that's where the alumina solution's going. That's 120 of it. So let's see if it's filling up in here. It is. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now we just need to modify this system here. We'll merge that together. Connect it to power. Then all we need to do is line this up. I think it's here. Nope, I missed it. Where am I at? I need to go 1 over. So we line it up here. 1 over. 1, 2. And connect. So that should be our aluminum casings. And we are producing batteries. There we go. There's our batteries. Let's see them start producing in here. We got batteries. Heck yeah. Alright. So that is our fuel source for the drones. We needed to produce a ton of fuel for the drones. And that should be good. This should never slow down, I don't think. Well, it is what it is. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, whatever. This isn't my main aluminum production anyways, so I don't really care. These can all go away. And once we get another port, we can have the drone fly between them. So this one, we'll name it battery production. And then we gotta go make another drone port somewhere. So we'll send this back to our hub. So let's go back to the hub real quick. Alright, we're back at the hub here. I think we'll put a drone port up on top here. Because it would just be cool to have drones flying in all over up top. And I think I'll have it kind of overhang the edge as well. So let's set it up there. Hopefully that sit nicely. It did not. We're going to delete it and try it again. Let's press H this time. That. sits pretty dang close. Yep, alright, we'll build that one. And this one will be battery drop-off. And we don't have power to this, so we need to get power. Alright, now we got power to this. And we should be able to connect our ports. So if we go to this port here, it's the battery drop-off. And we want to set a destination. That's going to be battery production. And then the relevant ports, it'll say battery production. We want to set the destination to battery drop-off. So, with that being done, we should be able to see on our map that the drone should start moving soon. I'm going to watch and make sure that it does. Oh, it looks like it's moving. There it goes. There goes the drone. Alright, so here comes the drone. Look how fast that thing is. And it's going to take a path where it doesn't collide into anything. So it may look weird, but it is taking the best route it can to not collide with anything. So we should be able to see it coming in over here somewhere. I don't see it yet. Oh, it's over there. There it is. And so the drone comes flying in. Then it'll come land. And it should drop off. It takes a little while for it to connect. So we should see it drop off here. Nope, there we go. 175 batteries. Nice. Alright. So it dropped off some fuel. And then it should take off again. There we go. Can I color this one white? I can. And that's, yeah, there we go. So now it should just take off to back to the fuel port. So we can watch it go back on the map. And yeah, that's it. That's all there is to drones, really. You just set up a couple ports and you set up where they go. And they just go. So this is a very basic description of what drones do. I think you can have multiple drones on a port. I'll double check that. Yeah, so I can have another drone sitting here. So basically that'll just send 2 drones back and forth. I don't think you can do... let me double check here. Let's just do a little trial run here. We'll do test 1 and test 2. We just say all ports. No, this port, sorry. And then we'll go to test 2, and then test 2 will come to test 1. We'll see what happens here. So, yep, those are set the same. Do they go between each other? Yeah, they do. Okay, so you can set up 2 drones. One on each port. You just got to make sure they both get fuel. You don't have to have both of them set up for fuel. You just need one of them set up for fuel, but one drone needs to get fueled, so you might need to manually fuel it until it runs out. And then the one drone port should be able to fuel both. But I don't think you can put multiple drones on the same port. But if you have 2 ports and they're going to each other, you can actually set up 2 drones through the different ports. I don't think I explained that very well. That was kind of hard to explain. But yeah, let me just make a portable miner here. Just so I can show you here. So yeah, it'll say drone port already has a drone assigned to it. But since they're going to each other, they can each have its own drone. So each route you set up can have 2 drones. Now I think we're gonna delete this one here. So this one here doesn't have anywhere to go. What I think you can also do is I have a drone port here, and I want to set it to battery drop off, and then battery. Oh, yep, nope, that doesn't work. Okay, so you can have multiple ports. You can send a drone to multiple locations, but you can't send You can't send 2 different ports to the same port, and then expect it to come back to the same port. Does that make sense? Alright, so I was completely wrong about how drone ports works, and that's completely okay. So what I actually found out is you can send multiple different drone ports to the same drone port, and they will go back to the port they came from. You can't send drone from one port to the next, to the next, to the next, and kind of do a big circle. It has to be 1-to-1. So this drone here is gonna go to that drone port there. So we can watch that one. We can watch it. Okay, so that's actually going over to this drone port. Let's see. So there's another drone there. That one just came from here. Then this one is going to this drone port over there. And they can go back and forth to their drones, the drone ports. So this one will collect everything from this building, which is the time crystals, the fixed site trigons, and the sand fluctuators. And then that drone over there comes only to this one here, which is just the turbo motors. So I have turbo motors being sent here. And yeah, both of these drone ports can be linked to that drone port over there, and they will go back and forth. But I could not get them to link from one to the other, and then back in a circle. So I had it backwards. I can show you what it looks like inside. I'll go to that one there, but basically this one is coming down and landing. So yeah, you got an idea of how this actually works. So yeah, I'll show you how this is actually set up here. So if I go to this port, I have it sending to turbo motors to storage. So that's the turbo motor one right there. But it also links to tier 9 to storage. So they are both linked to this one, because they're both saying we're going to drop it off at the storage drop off, which is this port here. That storage drop off is here. So turbo motors and tier 9 to storage are coming to storage drop off. So they both work. So yeah, that's how drones work. You do want to be careful with how many drones you send to a port, because they have a long delivery time. So I mean, this right here is considered delivery time. It's trying to get in place, and then it's gonna settle down. See how long this is? It takes a while. And now that it's settled down, it'll actually start exporting whatever is in the drone. But this is probably just the turbo motor, so it's probably already gone. But just look how long this process is. So the more drones you have, the longer it takes to actually do all this. And so I would probably actually put multiple drone ports around here and maybe do 2 or 3 drones per port, depending on how long your trips are. So yeah, now it just finally left, so the other drone can actually set up in here. But yeah, that's how long it takes for a drone to enter and leave a port. So keep that in mind when you're setting up multiple drones to a single port. It does take some time. So there is one thing I want to show you. I didn't really explain this, but it can take all of these different types of fuel. And basically, the worst fuel type is packaged fuel. It makes the drones go the slowest, and it burns the most amount of fuel. The next worst is technically between batteries and turbo fuel. They both are the next worst. They travel the same distance. I think turbo fuel burns faster, batteries burn slower, but they travel the same speed. And then rocket fuel's the next best, and then ionized fuel's the next best, and then the uranium and plutonium fuel rods are the best fuel type. We use batteries, so it is towards the bottom of the list, but it's better than packaged fuel. Let's just put it that way. It's better than packaged fuel. So, in between last episode and this episode, I decided to build a SAM fluctuator factory. And we built the diamonds and time crystals. Yeah, the diamond, time crystals, and fixed site trigon building here. So this side is the time crystal. This middle one here is the fixed site trigons. And then this one on the edge here is the new section. This is actually the SAM fluctuators. So SAM fluctuators just reanimate a SAM wire and steel pipes. Pretty simple. So I just needed 2 constructors worth of reanimated SAM. And then if I go up a level, which is really hard to get to because I did not make this walkable. Basically all I did is I set up 1 iron pipe recipe to make 30 steel pipes. And that was just 120 iron ingots. We just have that set up here. And then I have 60 wire. That's just literally 1 smelter. It's really simple. There's nothing bad about this. This sink is only taking the reanimated SAM. I will need all this reanimated SAM in a future episode. I just am putting it in the sink for now. But yeah, basically I pulled the iron and copper just off of one of these because this one here, I was only using half of the capacity that I could use. So I just expanded it more and sent it off that way. And then the copper is actually coming from this miner here. And I was using 420 from here, and I just pulled 480 instead and sent the 60 off. I only needed 30, but it's not a big deal. So yeah, this whole building here is the basic building blocks of tier 9. And I needed reanimated SAM because, or sorry, the SAM fluctuators because the converter requires SAM fluctuators. And it requires 100 every time. And then I think, yeah, no, the quantum encoder is actually completely separate. But yeah, the converter needed SAM fluctuators. And so I was like, let's just make something and we can put it to storage. And that's really all I need it for. There are some recipes. I can actually show you SAM fluctuator. So there is a recipe that can use it, but I think it's an alternate recipe. And I haven't unlocked it yet. So I have no idea what uses it. So yeah, I did that. It's pretty simple, it's easy, it's done. Now I can show you the plan for the rest of this. Here we go. So the plan is, and we just finished drones. Drones are done. I don't have the check mark anymore, so I'm just going to do that. Drones are done. The superposition oscillators, the neo-quantum processors, and the dark matter crystals, I kind of need to build them in the next episode. So that is going to be the next episode. And then the reality is, after that, it is just space elevator parts. So the reality is, we only have 2 more episodes left. Oh no, how sad, right? I know. It is what it is. We have 2 milestones left. And fixed it blueprints, Mark III. We need neo-quantum processors. Spatial energy regulation, that's where the ballistic warp drive is. That's where the singularity cell is. we need superposition oscillators. So we just need to make those two things, and then we can actually finish the game in the following episode. So that's it for now. Let's take a look at how many coupons we have. 43. We are not going to get 1,000 coupons before the end of the beginner's guide, which is a shame. So, 2 more episodes and we beat the game. It's so sad. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. And leave a like if you have. Leave a comment down below. And I'll see you in the next episode.